So one of the other properties of mind is its ability to self-deceive itself. Rather than calling it a property, I think it's more like a feature. Because as a mind, you are self-reflective. Or rather, you are a self-reflective mind. There are minds that are not self-reflective. But being human, your mind is self-reflective, right? You can become aware that you are aware, that you are conscious. You have needs, you have wants, and you need to survive in this environment. And in order to survive, your mind is self-reflective and it's self-deceptive. It can fool you into this narrative of what you call your life, of what you call life in general, surviving in an environment alongside other minds. So in that sense, you have to self-deceive yourself. You have to go along with the story, right? Just to survive. Just like in a dream. Mind has self-deceived itself in the sense that it has forgotten it's asleep in bed and having the dream. And it just goes along with the dream story. So, coming back to reality, in your life, you take on so many identities. You take on this identity of who you are, right? This identity becomes you with your own likes and dislikes and idiosyncrasies and characteristics and all that stuff that makes you who you are, that makes you different from someone else. So you have taken on this identity of your own. And this identity could be characterized by other identities that you've taken on, which could be the identity of your culture that you're in, your nationality, your gender, your race. All of these play into these identities that mind takes on. These can be beneficial to your survival, but it can also be detrimental to your survival in some cases. For example, if you're just a normal person living your life, going to work, paying your taxes, having some fun here and there, you're just a normal, regular person who has taken on these identities that are beneficial and are helping you survive, right? You could take on certain identities. It could be a religious identity. You place yourself into a certain religion or a certain caste of people. You go along with the narrative of that deception, right? You buy into it completely. And it could be something harmless. It's nothing dangerous. But some people could take on a dangerous identity. And this identity could discriminate or degrade certain other identities, certain other cultures, certain other narratives in life, right? Take, for example, someone who has identified themselves as being a Nazi. That could become a dangerous identity. Or someone who has identified themselves as incels, as an incel. And they hate women for some reason. Or maybe someone who has taken on the identity of being a feminist, a staunch feminist in that sense that they hate men. So mind can take on these identities because they want to belong, they want to fit in order to survive. Consider identities or consider minds that have taken on these identities. that becomes so egotistical, so deluded, that it can become theocratic. It can become into a dictatorship of some kind, right? And that's how you get people who feel that they belong into this culture or this identity so strongly that they will defend it to the death, right? They get so caught up in this identity, in this environment, that they feel is their life, that they cannot do without it. Think of the mind of a dictator and how a dictator thinks. He will do whatever he can, he or she will do whatever they can to uphold that survival instinct of that dictatorship, that identity that they have. They wouldn't call themselves a dictator. Others may call them as a dictator by observing their behaviors. They will attack a nation if needed to uphold that self-delusion, right? So mind has this ability to self-deceive itself. And this can be fine. It can be a normal thing for mind to do. But at certain times, if you buy too much into this self-delusion, it can become dangerous as well. Now, of course, you can turn this around and tell me, well, am I not deceiving myself? Well, of course I am. The whole of creation is a deception. Don't you see that? Creation itself is a construction. It's a story. It's a narrative that we go along with. It's a representation in that sense, right? So the whole thing, being a construction from scratch, is a deception. But it's a very elaborate, very sophisticated, very artful deception. So beautifully put together that sometimes you fail to even realize it's a deception. It's an illusion. It's a magic trick that is so beautiful and artfully done that it almost becomes believable that it's real. This is the perfect deception. It's the perfect illusion, the perfect magic trick. We are all buying into the deception, myself included. Remember, when you're in a dream, you do not think that only some parts of the dream are deceptive or illusory, right? The whole dream is deceptive. It's a construction, right? And you only realize that upon waking up. So you can go along with the deception, play along with it, not realizing it's a deception, which is fine. You're surviving. Or you can become lucid in the dream. You can wake up or become lucid, remain in the dream, and still play along with the deception. But now you realize it's a construction. It's all a construction of mind. Right? What are you going to do? You have to play along. You can't just sit back and do nothing. You have to survive. So you play along with the deception, knowing fully well that it's a deception. A beautiful, artful deception.